163rd Contact. Friday, February 26, 1982, 4:50 am. Quetzal says, as I see, you still haven't come to rest today. Billy says, how right you are, but I'm really not very tired. Quetzal says, nevertheless, your need for rest is easily recognizable. I also don't want to keep you for too long but only inform you of the results, which you asked me to clarify. But first of all, I would like to address something else that is, unfortunately, necessary to mention another time. Sentences 5 to 37 purely non-public, internal group and private matters. Billy says, you please me damn little, my friend, that you stir up this matter again. As a result, I must first get some coffee and cigarettes. Quetzal says, if you would be so kind, then I would also like the same drink. Billy says, Quetzal says, I enjoy coffee every now and then. It is a refreshing hot drink. Billy says, man, since when do you also poison yourself? Do you, perhaps, even want a cigarette? And how would you like your coffee? Should it contain a lot or a little cream, and how much sugar? Quetzal says, I refrain from tobacco products because they bring me no pleasure. But I've already been enjoying coffee since I've been on the earth. In moderate quantities, it is absolutely harmless. But I only drink it naturally and without sweeteners. Billy says, so black, without sugar, but with a stirrer, right? Quetzal says. Billy says, by stirrer, I mean a spoon. Quetzal says, that isn't absolutely necessary. Billy says, okay, then you have to wait a little. It will take a few minutes. When I go out, I'll latch the door from the outside. See you later. Billy says, so, my friend, black and hot as hell. Here's your brew. Quetzal says, thank you. Billy says, I'm glad that I can offer you something once. But now, I would still like to know what results you've obtained regarding the matters that I asked you to clarify. Quetzal says, yes, the premises that should be created. The continued negative feelings that you've had against this since last summer are of great exactness. Billy says, so there. Crap. Quetzal says, as you already explained to me, in accordance with your feelings, everything would have gone on very well up to around the month of June, 1981, if the premises had been created by then. I could fathom this, without a doubt, through a review. But now, my look into the future has shown that your feelings are, in fact, of correctness, because if the premises are created now, then very bad difficulties will arise for you. Not only would the authorities object to this, but you would be punished for it very severely, and moreover, the premises would be torn away by forces requested by the authorities. An unauthorized construction of the premises would only bring you serious harm in every respect. Billy says, so crap, after all. I'll leave it alone. If these are now built anyway, then without me. I won't touch them and will deny all responsibility. I want to have this in writing from all who participate in a possible construction. Quetzal says, you would do well in that, for as my look into the future has shown, very harsh measures will be taken by the authorities if the construction takes place. It's much too late for this undertaking. In January or February of 1981, it would have been completely different. At that time, everything would have found its correctness. But with the authority of Turbental, something will change in its leadership in the coming time, and it is this new leadership that won't be well disposed toward you, and that would sue you very hard. Billy says, this news will be unpleasant for some. Quetzal says, certainly, but this isn't to change. Moreover, only irrational reasons for the need for these premises are cited by those involved. Ferdinand and his family would find the better solution if they would acquire a mobile home, and as for Elsa, it is her own fault that now, her premises can't be created. For her, I remember very well that solely her oddball behavior didn't allow the construction, when it still would have been tolerated officially and would have been granted. Bernadette herself is an accommodation that will suit her very well for the time being if this is furnished accordingly. Billy says but she always complains that it is cold there. And warm it really is not. Quetzal says a suitable cold inhibitor would resolve this. Billy says that's right, and that could also be done within a reasonable amount of time. It would just have to be insulated properly. However, she will still bring in her pretexts about her place. Quetzal says Eva has less space. Billy says that's also right, but Bernadette will still bring into play that it can't be expected of her that she must go over to the house with the infant in each case, etc. Quetzal says that is, in fact, irrational but of her. In any case, carrying the child to and back from the house will not harm the child. In inclement weather, the child can be wrapped in protective blankets so that no harm arises from the effects of the weather. Sentences 69 to 76 purely non-public, internal group and private matters. Billy says man, and should I tell her all that? Quetzal says no, for I will transmit all my words to you, after which you can give her everything in writing. In addition, Engelbert and the board of directors should deal with this because you shouldn't have to strain your nerves for the time being. Quite simply, you aren't allowed to do that. Therefore, Bernadette should refer any such matters to the board of directors and to Engelbert but not to you. Billy says but still, Bernadette will come to me. Quetzal says the board of directors has to point out to her that such matters only fall into the area of the board of directors for the time being and that you may not be burdened. Billy says if that works, then it's good. But I think that the report shouldn't be handed over to all group members. Quetzal says nevertheless, it would be of correctness if all group members would be informed about these issues. Billy says can't it, at least, just be handled by the board of directors? Quetzal says the board of directors has to decide about that. Billy says you are cautious, my son. Quetzal says that is of necessity, but unfortunately, I haven't said everything yet, for sentences 87 to 93 purely non-public, internal group and private matters. Even here, we can in no way bring to bear our compulsion for the right action. We have actually worked out the best solutions for them as well as for all others, but whoever rebels against these must bear the consequences in their own responsibility. In truth, we cannot do any more than develop the best possible advice, but the observance of the advice lies with the group members themselves. Billy says everyone knows that, however. Quetzal says that is of correctness, but unfortunately, several group members still lack the concept for this. This means that they are very well aware of the fact that they themselves are not yet clear about the truth in this regard. Billy says which is, unfortunately, the case with many Earth human beings. Quetzal says that, too, is of correctness. Billy says must we still speak further of these things? Quetzal says no. Billy says good, then I have a question regarding so-called UFOs, which are truly none at all. As I know from you, the so-called flying objects that are considered UFOs are often observed in the day as well as at night. At night, it is often observed that these so-called UFOs light up and are vibrant in their intensity and also variable in color. On the one hand, you were able to make it understandable to me, with tangible evidence and through my personal observations, that these sometimes deal with bioorganic missiles that are truly other-dimensioned life forms that, as a rule, can be captured on infrared film and that penetrate from other dimensions into our dimension area, in order to romp around here somehow in earthly airspace for playful and whimsical reasons. You also explained to me that these bioorganisms are completely harmless and that they always return back to their dimension. But on the other hand, you have also spoken of the fact that similar phenomena appeared in terrestrial airspace, but these are purely terrestrial in origin. At that time, you spoke of the fact that it can also concern huge swarms of insects that let themselves drift through the air at great heights. During the day, these insect swarms can be seen as dark and form-changing UFOs that often even glow. At night, the same can be observed, and these UFOs then glow from weak to very strong and often even pulsate. Those are the two forms of UFOs best known to me, which are truly not extraterrestrial ships and which are composed of living forms. Although, you have explained that other such forms exist, about which you have told me some things, but today, I am mainly interested in the apparent UFOs, which consist of insect swarms. I would like to know a few things about this